Wednesday, August 17. Elijah and the prophets of Baal. Things went from bad to worse in the north, especially when it came to the question of worship under the reign of Ahab and Jezebel. It is here that we come to the famous story of the confrontation between Elijah and the prophets of Baal. Now consider excerpts from 1 Kings 18. Notice the difference in worship styles between Elijah and these false prophets. What lessons might we take away that could be relevant for ourselves today and the whole question of worship? Here are excerpts now from 1 Kings 18. The Lord came to Elijah in the 3rd year, saying, "Go, present yourself to Ahab, and I will send rain on the earth." There was a severe famine in Samaria, and Ahab had called Obadiah, who was in charge of his house. Now Obadiah feared the Lord greatly, for so it was, while Jezebel massacred the prophets of the Lord, that Obadiah had taken 100 prophets and hidden them, 50 to a cave, and fed them with bread and water. And Ahab had said to Obadiah, "Go into the land, to all the springs of water and to all the brooks. Perhaps we may find grass to keep the horses and mules alive." Now, as Obadiah was on his way, suddenly Elijah met him, and he recognized him, and he fell on his face and said, "Is that you, my lord Elijah?" And he answered, "It is I. Go tell your master, Elijah is here." So he said, "How have I sinned that you are delivering your servant into the hand of Ahab to kill me? As the Lord your God lives, there is no nation or kingdom where my master has not sent someone to hunt for you." And when they said, "He is not here," he took an oath from the kingdom or nation that they could not find you. And now you say, "Go tell your master, Elijah is here"? And it shall come to pass, as soon as I am gone from you, that the Spirit of the Lord will carry you to a place I do not know, so when I go and tell Ahab, and he cannot find you, he will kill me. Then Elijah said, "As the Lord of hosts lives, before whom I stand, I will surely present myself to him today." So Obadiah went to meet Ahab and told him, and Ahab went to meet Elijah. Then it happened, when Ahab saw Elijah, that Ahab said to him, "Is that you, O troubler of Israel?" And he answered, "I have not troubled Israel, but you and your father's house have, in that you have forsaken the commandments of the Lord and have followed the Baals. Now, therefore, send and gather all Israel to me on Mount Carmel, the 450 prophets of Baal and the 400 prophets of Asherah, who eat at Jezebel's table." So Ahab gathered the prophets together on Mount Carmel, and Elijah came to all these people and said, "How long will you falter between two opinions? If the Lord is God, follow him, but if Baal, follow him." But the people answered not a word. Now Elijah said to the prophets of Baal, "Choose one bull for yourselves and prepare it first, for you are many, and call on the name of your God, but put no fire under it." So they took the bull, and they prepared it, and called on the name of Baal from morning even till noon, saying, "O Baal, hear us!" But there was no voice. And so it was at noon that Elijah mocked them and said, "Cry aloud, for he is a god. Either he is meditating, or he is busy, or he's on a journey, or perhaps he is sleeping and must be awakened." They prophesied until the evening sacrifice, but no one answered. Then Elijah built an altar in the name of the Lord, and he made a trench around the altar, and he said, "Fill 4 water pots with water, and pour it on the burnt sacrifice and on the wood." So the water ran all around the altar, and he also filled the trench with water. And Elijah said, "Hear me, O Lord, hear me, that this people may know that you are the Lord God." Then the fire of the Lord fell and consumed the burnt sacrifice, and the wood, and the stones, and the dust, and it licked up the water that was in the trench. Now when all the people saw it, they fell on their faces, and they said, "The Lord, he is God! The Lord, he is God!" Then Elijah said to Ahab, "Go up, eat and drink, for there is the sound of abundance of rain." And the sky became black with clouds and wind, and there was a heavy rain. Today, some Christian worship services could remind one of something like this. A lot of emotion, a lot of hype, and a lot of noise. Though we want to avoid worship services that remind people of funerals, we also do not want worship services that remind them of the priests of Baal. In contrast to all the bedlam of the priests of Baal, Elijah prayed a simple prayer. Hear me, O Lord, hear me, that this people may know that thou art the Lord God. This was no Elijah show. It was about worshiping the true God. Our worship services should always present worshipers with the question that Elijah asked Israel. How long will you waver between two opinions? If the Lord is God, follow him. But if Baal is God, follow him.